Hi everybody, I am Debbie Reynolds with Rocky Mountain Lodge, and today I'm really excited to show you one of my specialty recipes that I created called creamed bananas in puff pastry shells. And I'll tell you a little bit more about these this recipe as we go along and how I came up with creating it. But I want to let you know that you can find this recipe on our website at rockymountainlodge.com and click on the recipes tab. It's there. And you can also find it in our cookbook, Rocky Mountain Lodge and Cabin's More Favorite Recipes. You can purchase this cookbook on our website under the gift shop tab. And right now we're running a half off special. So you can get this for $10. And it also includes an ebook version so you can download it on your tablet, your phone, your iPad, your laptop, anything you might want. And so you can check into that. This has 500 recipes in it. And so download that, purchase that cookbook, half price, $10. All right.
What's this?
Oh yeah, I forgot. I'm going to tell him about it a little later.
Okay.
That's my husband. I'll tell you a little bit about him as well when we get to it. Oh yes, but he's very proud of me and this recipe, so I'll tell you what he did a little later on while things are cooking and we need a little time. So this recipe is pretty easy to make. First off, what we're going to do is we're going to start with making the sauce. We're going to take 1 cup of heavy cream, which I'm just going to pour in this pot right here, and then a half a cup of sugar. And we're just going to stir these together, and we're going to cook these until they come to a simmer. We're not going to want these to be too hot right now. So while this is cooking, 1 cup of cream and a quarter cup of sugar, sorry, not a half a cup, a quarter cup of sugar. So not too much sugar. This recipe will serve 6 people, so I'll let that cook a little bit. And then we're going to need 2 egg yolks and 2½ teaspoons of flour, which we're going to add to this, and then 2½ teaspoons of vanilla extract. And now we're just going to mix these together. Actually, I needed this fork for something else. I'll get a new one. All right, I want to use my little whisk here. All right, so we're just going to whisk these together. And there might be a little bit of lumps from the flour. You don't have to worry about that. I do try to get as much of this out as I can. So this is just 2 egg yolks, 2½ teaspoons of flour, and 2½ teaspoons of vanilla. Okay, I'll go back over here. And then in here we've got our 1 cup of cream and a quarter cup of sugar. I don't know why I keep saying a half a cup. Now this sauce is what makes these bananas so good. So while this is cooking, I'll tell you a little bit about how I created this recipe. We just need to let this cook down, get this till it's simmering. And so I created this recipe one day when we had our bed and breakfast in. We ran for 17.5 years. And when I was a pretty new innkeeper, we had to be inspected to be a part of the Colorado Bed and Breakfast Association, Innkeepers Association. And there was a 190-point checklist in order to be a member of the association. So if you ever want to stay at any of the Colorado Bed and Breakfast Innkeepers Association inns, you can be assured that they all have to pass a pretty strict regimen in order to become a member. And so one of the things that when you're very first new innkeeper, they actually have a hired professional inspector that would come and spend the night with you as if they were a guest, and then they would critique you and make sure everything is right. And so when I was had the inspector here for our overnight inspection, I used to serve a 3-course breakfast. I would serve a fruit course and then a main entree and then a dessert. And so the dessert that I was making for breakfast that morning flopped. I don't even remember what it was, but I just remember that it flopped. So I had to think in a real big hurry what else I could do. So I had some leftover sauce. This is a sauce that I make for another recipe. I make a strawberry croissant French toast, and this is a sauce I pour over that. And so I had some of the sauce left over in the refrigerator from making that the day ahead of time. And then, so you can see now that this is hot, it's steaming, it's starting to simmer. So I'm going to take and put this, I'll finish my story a little later. So now what we're going to do is we're going to very slowly drizzle this in here. And the reason why you want to do it very slowly is because you don't want to cook your eggs and have scrambled eggs. So we just want to slowly drizzle this in here. This is called tempering your eggs. So we're just going to put about half of this milk mixture in here to kind of warm our eggs up. And then we're going to put the rest of it right back in our pot here and slowly pour that back in. But we have tempered our eggs, so we have warmed our eggs up without cooking them. All right. And so get all of that out of there. Okay. So now we're going to finish cooking this until it gets thick and bubbly. Set that aside there. And so I'll finish my story now. Where was I? Let's see. I think I was talking about the inspector and my breakfast swap. And so I had some leftover of this cream sauce. I had some bananas left over. I had these Puff Pastry Shells in the freezer. And I'll show you those here in a minute once we get done with our sauce. And so I just decided I'll cook up some of those shells. I'll throw some bananas in this sauce, the leftover sauce that I had that was cold in the refrigerator. And then I put these in the Puff Pastry Shells, drizzled it with some chocolate just to make it look pretty. But then chocolate makes everything taste better too, right? Chocolate goes great with bananas. And then just added a couple of strawberries and some mint for garnish and served this, and it became such a hit. Everybody loved it, so I kept making it. And then after a number of years of making this, I saw a Pepperidge Farm contest, and you can see this is starting to get a little thicker. It's bubbling. I'm going to turn this down a little bit. And so it's starting to bubble and thicken a little bit here. And so it's getting there. I'm just going to turn it down to low while it finishes. And so I entered this recipe into a Pepperidge Farm baking contest, and I won first prize. And that is what my husband was talking about. He made this little plaque for me. He went to their website and printed off the recipe. This is their picture. The picture I have on my website, I took, and I think is much prettier with the garnish. They don't have any garnish on here. And so, anyway, so he printed this off of the website, and my prize for entering and getting first prize was they gave me a rolling pin and a cookbook that says anyone can bake. Because obviously I didn't know how to bake, and I needed the cookbook on how to bake if I entered a recipe and it won first prize. I think I gave it to my niece at the time. Okay, so this is nice and thick, so I'm going to shut this off. Anyway, and so my husband was just so proud of me that he made me this little plaque, which he put in the foyer for me because he's just so proud. And so it took him forever to hunt down the stickers for my Creative Memories stickers, but he found some stickers and he did a great job. And so he brought this out because he wanted to make sure that y'all saw it. So my proud hubby. All right. Okay, so now the last thing that I'm going to do with this, I've turned the heat off, so I'm going to take it off of the heat. I'm going to grab the last ingredient that goes in there. And this is what's going to make it so stinking special. We're going to add some vanilla ice cream to this. And you want to add a big old honkin' heaping scoop. So I am going to add a big, huge scoop to this. Plop that in there, and then I'll just stir this around until this is melted. And then typically, I would put this sauce in the refrigerator and let it cool overnight so that it can become cold. Now this sauce, just like this, once the ice cream melts into there, is what I serve for my strawberry croissant French toast. I'll pour this sauce over my French toast that I make out of croissants and strawberries, and then this sauce. All right, so while that is doing its thing, put that ice cream away, and then I'm going to show you the next step. So typically I would have this overnight in the refrigerator, which I actually made one yesterday. So I have one that's chilled that I made yesterday. Now you can serve this warm. It's just as good warm as it is cold. We just happen to serve it cold. But if you don't have time to chill it, no worries. just go ahead and serve it warm. Now these are the shells that you're going to use to make the base with. These are the Puff Pastry Shells. I've been having a hard time finding these lately. There's only one store in town that I've been able to find these, and that's at the King Soopers in Colorado Springs. But they look like this. I actually have some in the oven right now, so I can show you what they're like after we cook them. They come in little flat discs like this. And so I'm just going to take these and break them up and put them on my parchment paper. Now you want to make sure your oven is preheated first. Just follow the package instructions on your sheet there. So you just break them apart, and then we're going to bake these. It actually takes, it's about 425 degrees. I actually will preheat my oven to about 450 degrees, so that way when I open my oven up and put them in there, they're going to be nice and hot. But you want to make sure your oven is preheated before you put these in. And so I'm going to check on those others and see how they're doing so I can put these in. We'll sneak over here. And our others, I don't know if you can see in there, they are puffing up. And let's see, how much time do they have to go? They have 2 more minutes to go. So while those are finishing up, we're going to go back over here and I'll show you about the filling that we're going to make. So we're going to take some bananas. This recipe serves 6 people, so you want some ripe bananas. These bananas aren't quite as ripe enough as what I would like them, but then these bananas are a little more ripe than I would like them. So I like them somewhere in between. So you can do whatever you'd like. And so I'm just going to go ahead and do these. And so we're just going to cut this up. So we're going to do 3 bananas for 6 people. So not too many. And we're just going to quarter these, or cut these in half, and then I'm going to quarter each half. So that way when we slice them, we have little chunks. Little bite-sized pieces. So just cut each half in little quarters and then slice them up so you have little bite-sized pieces. All right, and then I'm just going to add these to my sauce. I'll do that with the remaining bananas, and we should be able to get these done by the time the Puff Pastry Shells are done, and then I can show you how to prepare those shells, because we're going to have to do a little bit of work to those to get them ready. Not much. Pretty easy. And so if you come back next week, actually next week, we aren't going to have a video next week, so 2 weeks from now is actually May 5th, Cinco de Mayo. So we are going to be making some Mexican food on Cinco de Mayo. I'm going to teach you how to make my famous pork tacos, which are one of my husband's favorites. I'll also make margarita to go with those, and some cinnamon crisps, some of my kids' favorites growing up. And so all those are our tortillas that you fry up and sprinkle with cinnamon and sugar. But they're pretty easy to make and kid-friendly and adult-friendly too. So that's in 2 weeks on Cinco de Mayo. Come back and we will have a Mexican fiesta here. All right, so let's go check on those Puff Pastry Shells. All right, they have puffed up beautifully. Okay, so I am going to preheat this oven again, bring it back up to 450 degrees for me, so that way when I get those put in, the frozen ones put in, they will be, the oven will be nice and hot. So now I'm going to show you what we do with these. So I'm going to grab a plate so we can put these on. That's a little bit busy. I guess all my plates are kind of busy. Anyway, so what we're going to do with these is, I said I had a fork here for a reason. So you can see how these tops that were scored have kind of come out. Now you want to carefully, these tops you just take off and set aside. You want to very carefully pull the doughy part out. And they are pretty hot, but your hands will get, if you cook as much as I do, your hands will be used to it. And so you want to carefully get those out of all of those. You don't want to let it set too much or it's going to get it's going to get harder to get this out and you might tear your walls. So you just want to do this kind of quickly, but carefully. And with these little tops, you can either put them back on top for garnish or you can just eat them. That's usually what I do. Just eat them. All right, so we're just going to finish off these little tops, getting those off and getting all the little doughy centers out of there. You can see how they'll start to sink in once you pull them out. If I have leftover bananas and cream, I usually just take it and put a spoonful on here and then I'll eat them. All right, just a couple more. These are pretty easy to make. I know my husband actually came in and he asked how many I was making. He wanted to make sure that he got one. And then my husband and I will each have one. Then I'll send the rest home with Alyssa, who's my videographer. And all right, so there we are. These are all done. I'll just take this doughy parts out of here. Those we'll throw in the trash. And then we've got little extra tops here, which are good for eating. And so then you're just going to take one and put it on your serving bowl. Let me get some more, finish off these bananas here. They really don't take too long, and I think the ice cream's probably melted in those. So if you want these warm and you don't have time to do them ahead of time, just use your sauce warm. Totally fine. All right. And I forgot to get my mint for my garnish. So I will go and grab that here in just a moment. I have a bunch of herbs in my dining room on my windowsills, in pots. I can't wait till spring really comes here in Colorado so that I can put them outside. They do so much better outside in the sun. Some of them just don't even make it while I'm trying to get them done. So then you're just going to take a scoopful of our bananas and we're going to put them in here. And I actually like to pour some over and let it drizzle down on the edge just for presentation. And let me wipe my hands. And I'm going to go grab some mint really quick. Be right back. All right. So let me just wash this off really fast. Okay. All right, so then I am going to take a strawberry, which I've already washed, and cut it in half. I like to leave the leaves on. And then I'm just going to take some chocolate sauce. Hershey's, any kind of chocolate sauce that you have, generic brand, they're all good. And now I'm just going to squeeze some of this chocolate sauce over here. And then we're going to garnish this with a couple of strawberry slices here and a sprig of mint. And here we have it. Creamed bananas in puff pastry shells. Such a delight. Everybody will love them. Pretty easy to make. You can have your sauce warm or thick, warm or cold. It's a little thinner when it's warm and a little thicker when it's cold. But either way, they're going to taste fantastic. All right, guys, so that's it. Creamed bananas in puff pastry shells. Super easy to make. It'll be a delight for everybody. And as I mentioned, I am just going to take a little dollop here because I can. I'm going to drizzle it with a little more chocolate. And then I'm going to eat it. So good. Actually, I'm going to do another one for my husband right now before he heads out the door to physical therapy.
Oh, yes.
I showed them the plaque.
Oh, you did good.
Yes, and how proud you were.
I was. Yeah,
And what,
that being upside down, it's just...
I know it's thick.
Yeah.
I know, this one's a little thicker than some of the other ones.
Did you tell them that they could use Hershey syrup?
I did.
Okay.
They can use any kind of syrup they want.
Yeah, it's true. They could use
Strawberry.
See? Ooh.
Great minds think alike. We've been together for a long time.
Bye.
Okay. All right, guys. So come back in 2 weeks, May 5th, Cinco de Mayo, and we will have a Mexican fiesta with some food. All right, guys. Thanks for coming. Visit our website at RockyMountainLodge.com. And our doggy gets excited. RockyMountainLodge.com, where you can find this recipe on the recipes tab, and you can purchase our cookbook. All right, we'll see you in 2 weeks, guys. Thanks for joining us. Have a great day. Bye.